Okay. All right, let's get this party started. I'm Jennifer O'Connor over here with the Athena Institute. Thanks for joining our webinar. I just want to quickly introduce the team. They're all here to help answer questions. We've got Chris Gomans, Grant Finlayson, and Matt Bowick. Going to hand the majority of this over to Grant to do the demo. We're recording this. We've also got short 10-minute snippets of demo videos on the site for the web tool. So don't be concerned if this all goes quite quickly. This is a complicated piece of software and it's really hard to demo it quickly. So you may want to, you get the introduction today, but then you may want to go back and watch again. If you have questions, please either raise your hand or put them in the chat. If we can answer questions as we go in the chat, we'll try and do that. Otherwise, I will pop in and interrupt Grant when I think it's a good time to get him to answer a question. Okay, Grant, I think let's just get right into it. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, I'll share. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, looks good.
Turn off my camera there. Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you happen to be. What you're seeing on the screen here is, so I've skipped the login page. If you haven't logged in, you go to buildings.athenasmi.app, and there's a create your account, put in your username and password, that sort of thing. Pretty standard things. Create an account, get in there. When you when you log into the tool, either creating an account or logging into an existing account, you end up on this page called the projects page. We've got, I've got 2 projects in here. When you open up a brand new account, you will have 1 project. It's just this sample project small clinic in here. I've created a direct copy of it just to, for today's demo. There's 3 buttons here. There's the pencil, that's the pencil icon, that's the edit. And you'll see that in a bunch of places in the app. There's a copy button and there's a delete. There's sort of headings or tabs up here. Projects, that's what we're in now. We're in the projects page. There's the reports page, the libraries page, and the support page. I'll just click on the support page now. You'll see here, here's my projects page. I'm skipping tabs in my browser at the moment. I'm in Firefox. This is my projects tab. I clicked the support tab and it opened up a new page, and this is the support page. This is where the videos are that Jennifer just talked about. There's some documentation. There's this bomb compiler download that you can get. We're going to be talking about that. That's an Excel tool to help with preparing your bill of materials. FAQs. This, if you're testing for us and you found a bug, this is where we want you to submit a bug. Click this link here and then proceed. Contact, email, so forth. That's the support page. I'm going to close that for now. I've got a few other things open up here. Again, this is the main headings. One is the libraries page, and that's this tab here. We've got a few libraries. We've got 5 that are that exist. There's 2 more, the building models and benchmarks library, that are yet to come. So we've got the unit of measure mapping library and the flow mapping library. If you've used our tools before, this is helping with your BOM import to save flow material names, flow names, what we call flow names now, to the names you call them. So you call it concrete and we call it ready mix concrete 25 MPa, something like that. You need to map that sort of thing. We have the unit of measure, same thing. If you've got funny units of measure that we don't have, we want to be able to convert to them. The flows library, we're not going to touch on that today. That's for putting in your custom flows. Again, that's same sort of thing as materials that you might be used to, or the products. But that's the stuff, basically. Environmental data library, that we'll get into that a little bit today. That is the environmental data behind a particular flow or material, so that you get to pick. We have, for instance, ready mix concrete 25 MPa. We've got 1,500 or so from the latest EPD, the Canadian EPD. So you choose which one you want once you chose the material name that you want. Product scenarios library, that is for each product. We have default scenarios, so that's all the A4 to D4 stuff. So A1, 2, 3, that's the material data. 1 ton of concrete is 150 kilograms of CO2. That's A1 to 3. After that, A4 to D4. A4 is transportation, so that's the number of ton kilometers to transport the concrete. A5 is on-site installation, so that's construction waste and the transport of that construction waste and the waste to landfill. The B modules, B4 being the sort of the most common one, is the replacement module. You may or may not have those things, but they're defined in these. That's where you would define them in these scenarios. C is the end of life, and D is so C is transportation to landfill, what you're doing with things at landfill. Excuse me. And D is whatever. So that's where you define those things. Everything after the cradle to gate portion, which is A1 to 3, you can customize how you handle and how you calculate things affects after that. So that's in this library. I'm going to get into these libraries in a bit. That's just the page. The other page is this reports page, another tab up here, and we'll get into that too. That's where you create your results. I've got a couple of results tabs up here that I've already pre-done in the interest of time. So that's what those are, those tabs up there. I'll be flipping back and forth between these tabs through the demo. This is the sort of the way what we found it's best to work through the tool. Okay, so we're in the projects page. I've got a couple here, but I'm just going to create a new one. I hit the big plus sign. I'm putting a name of the project. I'm just going to call it demo. Projects in this sense can contain multiple buildings in it. We're just going to do one in today's, but if you've got sort of two versions of the same building, you can, model the first one, copy it, change it, and then have the two in the same project. So that's the sort of nomenclature here. We've got a project called demo, but I'm also going to I have to also name the building, so I'm going to call it demo as well. And then I need to pick a geographic region, and this box behaves a lot like a lot of boxes in this tool. So I'll just show you the first time. I click on the down arrow, and we've got all these different geographic locations that we can choose. So it's 577. It's a crazy list to go through. For instance, Canada, they're all listed CA for Canada and CA dash for the different provinces, and US is all US dash whatever. But the best way to do that is, again, to find the needle in the haystack. I'm just going to type in BC. I'm clicking. Sorry, I need to get out of that. Clicking in here. I'm typing in BC. BC. It found Canada, BC, and that's my location. I'm going to choose it. So that's a bit of a way to filter down through that list and be able to choose. But the geographic region in this case is required, so you need to pick something. And then I'm going to hit continue. It's going to take 30 seconds or so. It's going to build up the project, set some defaults and everything else, and then it's going to save a project. And that's how you create a new project. And there's a whole bunch more information you can fill in, but that's all you have to do to create one. So as usual, during the demo, it takes longer than I had hoped.
Maybe this is a good time to mention to folks that just while we're still in beta, be patient with the software. It can be a little slow. So just sit back for a sec, give it a moment to think about what you just asked it to do.
Okay, so we've created this project. this is how it opens up. We've got project information up here. That's, well, yeah, sorry, I am project information. That's back to basically the information we just put in. We have this thing called assessment definition. There's a whole lot of information down here. It's mostly what we're calling metadata. It's information about the building. It's something you might put in to help in a report. There's the scope of the building, the scope of the elements in the building, the uniformat elements.
Actually, Grant, this is the assessment definition. You're setting the parameters for the running the LCA results.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I switched to assessment. Sorry. I skipped over project information. We're in assessment definition. Same thing. It's a lot of metadata in it, but some things do affect your calculation. So we've got general details up here, name, purpose, etc. I've got this little up arrow here next to general details. I'm going to close that just to be able to see things on the screen better. I'm going to open up the down arrow on default assessment scope, and this shows you the different uniformat elements. You can click them, click on, click off. If you don't want to include some in your analysis, that's where you set your defaults. We've got this default system boundary, whether you're doing A1 to 3, so that's cradle to gate, or whether you want to include all the way up to C or all the way up to D, you can turn things off. Again, this is a default for helps sort of narrow down your results when you're calculating results. And same with environmental indicators. We've got 32 different environmental indicators with the ISO 21930 list of things, basically. You can turn these on or off. I can turn them off with clicking this empty box up here, and then only choose GWP total, biogenic and fossil, let's say, and let's say I want eutrophication, acidification. Anyway, same thing. It can narrow down the things it has to calculate. It can save a little bit of time later if you're not interested in all these extra things, or you can click them all and choose them all. That's fine too. Close that. And we got some administrative details. This is a bunch of metadata, name of people who did the report and so forth. Not required, but there for you to fill in if you want. So that's the assessment definition. Then we get into the building model section. So this shows we've got one building model. This is that building demo, we call it. It's in the project demo. We call the building demo. I've got one. If I want to add another material, another building, I can create it here, hit the plus button, create it, start from scratch. Or if this vertical ellipsis over here, if I click on that, I've got a choice to copy my building, and it'll add a second one right below it. I can delete this building if I want. I can also create leapfrog a section in the results page and go straight to collecting my results, or calculating my results if I want. But we've got this building. This is our building. You see, it expands up and down like that. There's 3 sections to this building. There's the building information, and we'll click on that. And that is, again, a bunch of the metadata. It's information. It's the height of the building. It's the address of the building. It's a bunch of stuff that, again, it's mostly for reporting purposes. It doesn't really affect, I don't think any of it affects results in any way. And it's the same sort of stuff we saw in assessment definition, but it's assessment definition. Think of the default that you set up for the buildings. This is, you can change things in each individual building model if you want. The next is the bill of materials, and that's the big one. We're going to get to that in a second. One is building scenarios. So building scenarios, this is, so we think of, as we model a building, as different assemblies, different parts of each building. These are meant to be customizable scenarios, quote unquote, for the whole building. So an example of that would be operating energy or operational water use. It's not, you don't ascribe heating to the floors particularly, or the walls or anything like that. It goes to the whole building. So if This is where you would put operating energy in here. Another thing you might do here, excuse me. um, excuse me. Okay. So where was I? Good. Building scenarios we got. Oh, another thing you might do here is on-site construction energy. Um, we don't have, we never, we the old impact estimator desktop tool used to have some formulas for calculated some energy. It was pretty thin and not very robust. But and it was the problems with construction energy is there's not a lot of there's no data that we know of really that ascribes um, construction energy on an assembly basis. So we don't know how much energy it really takes to do a floor or a column system or whatever on a per meter squared basis or something like that. But people do have pretty good ideas of how much energy it takes during the construction of a whole building. So again, like operating energy, you can put in for this building at year zero, we did 100,000 kilowatt hours and 50,000 cubic meters of natural gas or something like that. So that's what you do here in building scenarios. But bill of materials is the big one. So we click on bill of materials. We've got here an empty slate. We don't have a bill of materials. We've got a bunch of column headings up here. We've got these boxes. These are filter boxes, so you can type in text here to filter things out. There's this vertical ellipsis where you can add filters that will be populated with things when we put things in the table. You can sort by clicking on that column header here. You see I'm sorting. I click on this flow column, it's sorting ascending with the arrow up. Click again, it's sorting descending, and click again and it's gone. You'll see this in pretty much all our tables. They all work sort of the same way. We got a columns box up here. This shows the columns that are available. Some are hidden. We got the imperial units and quantities here calculated. They're hidden. You can add them back in, or you can get rid of some formulas, some columns if you want. You end up doing a lot of horizontal scrolling because there's a lot of things to fill in here. It's fairly complicated. So you might want to get rid of some columns. You can also move columns back and forth. And that's sort of a general thing with all these tables in the app. So let's just very simply add a bill of materials item. So this is, you want to build up your bill of materials, you can add them row by row yourself. It's one at a time. It's if you want. I've clicked the plus button. I've got one. I've got a yellow box here, meaning there's an error and there's something wrong with the status. If I hover over it, it tells me the things that are missing. So I'm missing unit, measure, product, et cetera, et cetera. I've got 6 issues here in this issues count that are creating this yellow flag here. We've got over here, again, you'll see this in a bunch of places, this green edit button. It's a little pencil on a piece of paper or something with green. There's this blue copy icon, and there's the red default. All the things here are in a row. You can edit things in the row themselves, but I'm going to hit this edit button and it's going to open the full page, and it's basically all the things in one page. And it's certainly good for this demonstration. If you're only changing one thing, or what you're doing, or exactly what you want to change, sometimes it's easier to go through and just do it in the row itself instead of opening this one. But we've done this. So we've got a bunch of things to fill out here. I'll just go in order. I've got the description. You can put in whatever description you want there. It's just a text field. These OmniClass tables. So the whole tool is built around the OmniClass system, which is a classification system. And we're using tables 21, 22, and 23. If you happen to know OmniClass, or I'm going to probably call it OC a bunch of times in this demo. OC 21, OmniClass 21. That is the unit format that many of you might be familiar with. That is the uniformat table. OC22 is the master format table, which I'm sure, again, many of you are familiar with. A lot of specs come out with master format designations and so forth. That's what that is. Product table 23. This is product. This is it's the products. What you might think of as materials. Again, this is the stuff. There's a bit of a distinction. A product is, for example, ready-mix concrete might be a product, but a flow might be ready-mix concrete 25 MPa, a different sort of a subset of the products. So flow is our sort of nomenclature. That's what we call it. It's very similar product, but they're not exactly the same. So anyways, OmniClass. I'm just going to go in here, OmniClass 21 with the uniformat. This is the modal that opens up. Again, this is going to be, you'll see this in a bunch of places, this format. We've got 4 levels here to the element. We can go one by one. Level 1. What are the choices in level 1? There's only 8. We've got unspecified structure, shell, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going substructure, let's say. We're going to click on sub. That populates the level 2 list. And what kind of, we've got slab on grade, let's say. We've got, that goes down to level 3. Now, how many level 3s we got? You see the numbers, as we increase here, we've got back on slab on grade, we've got 0, 1, which is the substructure level, 40 is the slab on grade. So when I go down to level 3, I'm at 140, and then I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 90 different choices here. So standard slab on grades, I'm at 01, 40, 10. And if I go to level 4, there's nothing there because slab on grades doesn't go, there's nothing below slab on grades in this particular. So those are the uniformat OC21 classifications. I've chosen my my element that I want, and here I've got that 01, 40, 10 slab on grade, standard slab on grade. Bit of a process, but that's these tables are quite long and involved, and if you don't have any familiarity with them, you need to drill down and find the needle in the haystack, and that's one way to do it. Master format, it's very much the same. I'm not going to actually do it here in the thing, but in the demo, but exactly the same thing. Pick the first level, pick the second level, et cetera, et cetera. Product 23, same thing. Click the pencil button, the icon, open that up. This one is a much bigger table. It's about 8,000 rows long, I think it is. So it takes a few more seconds. We've opened up it. I've done this recently on this computer, so it wasn't too bad. Sometimes the first time you do it can take a bit longer. You have to call back to the server, get the list. It's a long list, so forth. But exactly the same sort of thing. We can choose the levels one by one, and it narrows down the list. Or we can go straight here and pick our flow. And our flow and our product 23, table 23, very similar. In the flow, let's say you have to have a certain familiarity with the nomenclature. So well, concrete would work, but let's say you have to know that the official product names are, let's say, ready-mix concrete. So I want to type in here, I want to get in here, I want to get rid of the unspecified, and I'm going to start typing in ready-mix. And you'll see a little spinner over here on the left. Again, be patient. It's spinning. It should give us the list of all the different ready-mix concrete flows that are available. And that's what it's done here. So you see the filter here. They're all ready mixes. We've got the 15 MPa, 20, et cetera, et cetera. We've got a bunch of 3,000, 8,000 PSI, PSI ones, MPa ones, coarse grout, et cetera, lightweight. Those are the different flows we have in here. We've got a column over here with the environmental data set. So Ready mix concrete. It says here we have 207 data sets for ready mix concrete 25 MPa. Good to know. This list, and you'll see up here, exclude flows not mapped to environmental data sets. Yes, I'm excluding. If I turn this to no, we would have a bigger list of ready mix concrete, and some of them would have a 0 in the environmental data set. So you could pick a flow here, but just knowing that we don't have in our database, we don't have a set of LCA data behind that. So we're excluding it from this list, but you can include them if you want. So I'm going to choose ready mix 25 MPa. When I choose that, it back flushes and it calculates, or it figures out these 3 levels here. Now we're at level 13, 31, 13. So instead of picking those individually in a bit of a tedious process, that's a bit faster, and that works for flow. So that's the one I want. I click accept. We got product 23, table 23 over here, ready mix concrete. It's also picked the flow here. In this case, they're the same, so it's picked it. Quantity, how many cubic meters of this? So 5 cubic meters, whatever the number is. We've got 5 cubic meters of ready mix concrete. Now you have to decide what data set you want to put behind it. So again, I'm going to click on the pencil button there. We're in BC. I've chosen BC. It's going to default to my BC list. I've got the ready mix concretes. So here it is. It says I've got 19 different ready mix concretes in BC, in the BC region. These are the mixes from the BC concrete EPD. There's 19 of them. We have them in our database. These are the names from that EPD. You pick the one you want. Whatever. This list of 19 doesn't really matter. I'm going to choose the baseline with air. That's the environmental data set. I'm probably going to call it ED in this demo a few times as a shortcut. So I've got, this is the environmental data that I want to apply to 5 meters cubed. You see the unit of that ED is meters cubed. The conversion between those two is 1. Flow source, don't worry about flow source. It can be unspecified. That's all good. The next thing we want to do is the scenario. So we talked about the scenarios a little bit before. What happens so this ED set, this is the, in most cases, in a lot of cases, this is the cradle to grave result. Cradle to grave results, A1 to A3. This EPD did not publish scenario to results A4 to D4, so we have a scenario for it, and you pick the one you want here. Now, as it turns out, we've got 1 as the default, and it's already picked the default, but if you want to change a scenario, which I'll show you a little bit later, your custom scenario would show up here and you would choose it. But this, I'm choosing default. I'm going to hit accept. I'm using the default scenario. Remarks is just a text field down here for your own notes. Okay, we've picked this material. We click accept. There we go. All these things are in the row as I talked about. We've got quantity. Once you get over to the flow, the columns sort of stay less hidden because the flow is generally, the flow and the environmental data ones are the sort of the big ones. We got the quantities over here. If I want to change my products, let's change my flow, my ED sets. If I want to choose that, this box is black. If I go to quantity, you don't see, or meters cubed, it doesn't say anything here. If I want to change, sorry, that's conversion factor. If I go to quantity, if I want to change that, I can click on it and change it to 6 in line. That's fine. If it highlights black like this, I can click on it. That means I can open that same box here. I've got the environmental data set. There's my 19 choices. I want to change it to baseline without air. Click that, and now I've chosen baseline without air. That's 1 row. Save. I've saved it. That's the start of my building model. That's only 1 row, 1 material, 1 product. So that's certainly a way to do it. It's certainly a good way to do it if you're sort of just, you've got a BOM already set up and you're just sort of adding something. It's not a bad way to do it. But to do 150 of those can be fairly tedious. So we've got this import option. So I'm going to hit the import BOM to it. If you've done this in the desktop version of Impact Estimator for buildings, same philosophy. You've got a BOM in Excel, and I'll show you this. This is very simple. It's 2 lines long, just for today's demo. I've got a quantity, a unit, and a product. I'll show you what these things mean over here. This is what, if I've got 150 things here, that's what it is. This is my output from my Revit, whatever it is. This is what I'm trying to import. I go back to the app here. I want to process. I'm going to just drag the file in here, and I want to import. So here are my 2 lines here that I've got. You see here I've got and now, so the first step here, load file and map column. So it recognizes from my Excel, and I set it up that way in Excel to recognize. So it recognizes that that first column was the OC21 column. It recognized that the OC22 column, it recognized the OC23 column just from my header names over here. Description, again, that's notes for yourself if you want to. Quantity, it has noted that the quantity column, it's done it here. This, oh, I'm trying to scroll to the right, but I guess I can't. It has recognized that my unit column, that's the header from Excel, is recognized as unit measure. I meant to change this product, so it didn't work. So it wouldn't recognize the flow heading, but it has in this case. Let's say it hadn't. It would say, does it give me here unspecified? It would say something like that, or it would say, please map this column. Let's say it hasn't. I go in here. I want that unspecified, those flow names, those material names, I want them to map to flow. So I've chosen flow. I've had to do it manually. This message comes up, you've changed the flow, please hit the reload button. So I hit the reload button over here, which is this curved arrow thing. And okay, the message says successful. We've moved, we've done the mapping. That's our first thing, load file and map columns. We've done our things. These columns are all mapped. You see these boxes at the top are what we want them to be according to these columns. Next. Once this is done, this next button will go green and we can hit next, or you could just hit the number 2. Anyways, the next step, number 2, map product descriptions. So this first line that we had in the Excel file, which is this here, where I've mapped the OC21, 22, 23, we've got this product name, solid sheets. We've done that on purpose to match what the tool is expecting. And it has mapped itself. This product is solid sheets metal plate. The imported flow is solid sheets steel plate. We've got this loose fill insulation. And again, I've messed up because I earlier in the day did this mapping, but I'm going to quickly show you here in libraries. Where's libraries? Libraries here. We've got flow mapping library. I'm going to double click on that. I've got this thing called cellulose insulation, which I had pre-mapped to loose fill, thermal insulation, cellulose, et cetera, et cetera. That's the mouthful of words that it takes to describe this or whatever that you might not be used to. That's the problem here. We want to map these things. So again, you can click on this button. If this hadn't been mapped, it would have said unspecified. You go through this table again, get down to loose fill thermal insulation. I think we have a couple. We've got different cellulose, fiberglass, rock wool, whatever. This is cellulose. I'm picking cellulose. I accept it. That's my mapping. So this product that I called in my spreadsheet, cellulose ints means nothing to the tool. I've mapped it to loose fill insulation. Cellulose. We're done. That's 2 lines. The other one was automatic. We go map product. We go next, map units and quantities. So now we've got these flows that we just mapped. We've got the units that are from Excel. We've got the units that the tool is expecting. There's a conversion factor, and we've got quantities. In this case, it's all done automatically. If you've got a weird unit of measure over here, you can figure out what the conversion, if the tool doesn't recognize, if you write tons and it says, I don't know, TONKNES or something like that, it won't recognize tons. You'll get a conversion factor of 0 and a quantity of 0. If you want to map the word TONKES to the word tons, you can do that. Click over here, save to the library. The next time you use TOKENS, it's going to recognize that and do this conversion factor. Anyways, we're here, we've got our quantities. These are the numbers we want. We go next, map elements and work results. This is not necessary, but if you want to aggregate your tools by elements or by work results, which is master format, you can, and you can set them up and you can choose each one in this space if you want to. Back to my spreadsheet, I had done that before, and we've got a tool that does that and sets it up for the import. That's why that's automatic. If you wanted to do it for this row, you have to do it row by row in this part of the tool. You can change it later, but this is part of the import. You click on here, there's that box. Again, go through that same process. Again, tedious for a large number of things, a large number of rows. Let's say we've done it, we got what we want. We're going next, we go review, and then we're done. I'm going to hit done. I'm going to merge. So I've added something to my bill of materials already. That first one we did, I'm going to merge. That goes merge. And that means if I replace it, it would get rid of that one we just created a few minutes ago. There it is. We've added our 2 new lines. Hit save a lot. At each stage, I'm in the habit of hitting save. It's added these 2 materials that we had from our spreadsheet, and that's how you build up a bill of materials. That's the main way we think we got to do it. It's not, again, a typical, I don't know, typical buildings can have hundreds of different lines, of different rows of different material quantities. This is the better way to do it, is you don't want to have to input 500 lines all by one by one. Okay, so that's how you build up a model, basically. I'm going to switch projects. So I'm going back to my, just going to save that for here. Going back to my project, going back to the projects page here. I'm going to open up this small clinic demo. This is a copy of that sample project that you'll see in your account when you create it. Okay, so project information, I'm not going to go through that. We're here at bill of materials. I think we've got 100 and can't remember how many lines we've got here, 117 or something like that. Nope, sorry, wrong building. 43. We've got 43 items. So we've got all these different, this is our bill of materials. We got them, I'm going to scroll past them very quickly. If I wanted to filter out here the ready mixes, let's go with ready. I start typing in ready and it shows me ready mix concrete. I've only got 1 line there. I'm going to get rid of that filter either by clicking this, hard to see maybe, this delete filter or clear filter button. If I go, there's other ready mixes, the 35 MPAs. Oh, there's only 1 row of those 2. Okay. If you had multiple rows, anyways, it's a filter of those things. You can more easily find things. I could sort by this flow. I'm sorting, so now we're ascending alphabetically, air, barriers, asphalt, roof shingles, et cetera, et cetera. Click again, I'm down to the bottom of the list. It's sorting descending, so it's starting with the woods and going down. Getting rid of that altogether. It's back to what it was. Just one of the ways to help you find the needle in the haystack, basically. And that works for any column over here. Okay, so we've got a bill of materials. This is already set up in the bill of materials. Let's say you finished, oh, pardon me, I'm going to go to scenarios. So if I want to create, so going back to this ready mix concrete, oh, I shouldn't have clicked on that, sorry. Well, it's doing that. I'm going to go up here. I'm going back up to this library tab that I had. I'm going to click on libraries again. I want to get to my product scenarios library. And we're already out of time, aren't we, Jennifer?
You are running a little short on time, so
yeah, okay.
I wonder if you want to show some results.
Yeah, okay. Maybe we'll get back to this if we don't have too many questions. Long story short, this is where you create your custom scenario. If you want to change the transportation distance in A4, let's say, of your concrete, this is where you do it. I will just pull up. I'm going to search text here. Ready, mix, hit the refresh button here. There. So these open up here. We've got this edit button that was green before is gray because these are all from the database. You can't edit them, but you can make a copy. With this blue button, I've created this new one. You can see it in the background here. There's one with the green and the red delete button accessible. That means this is the custom user-defined, whatever. You can edit this. So we've got a scenario data, bunch of information here. Here are the scenario details. So this is what we have in the default library, a default scenario for this. Here's A4. If I want to change A4, I click on the edit button there. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we've got, it opens up, these are the details of this. It happens, this one is just A4 transport. It's using road transport single unit truck as your flow, it's got a quantity of 130 ton kilometers, which is its mass. This is the scenario for 1 meter cube, for 1 unit of whatever this is, and the unit for this is meter cube. So we've got, it's the mass of 1 meter cube times whatever distance we think it's going. You can change that. You click on this edit button. So this is 2.1678 tons. It's going 60 kilometers for a ton kilometers value of 130. That's the number you need because the data set for a road transport single truck is in ton kilometers. So we change that, it's only 10 kilometers. I click accept. We end up at 21, which is 1/6 of the 130 number we had before. As we do, accept that. We've got I'm going to save that again, get that. We go back to our product scenario record. Come on, go back here. This is the one here that we have is our custom that we're going to change to. And we go back. Sorry, this is the product scenario. I'm going back to my project. I'm getting out of there. Here, my bill of materials. If I want to change the product scenario. Oh, I didn't put a name on it. Sorry. Put a recognizable name on it. But we go in here and I'm sorry, I didn't save it with the name. That's where you would pick the scenario for that. Sorry, buggered that up a little bit, but just to point out, you can customize your scenario. You can create scenarios from scratch, line by line if you want. You can change the defaults. You can use the defaults, add things to them, take things out of the defaults that you disagree with, et cetera, et cetera. Again, more about flexibility to do whatever you want in your model. There's no, one of the big goals of this tool was to get rid of the black boxes, and so people can see what's happening and change it if they want to. Okay. Results. We've got our building. We go to, this is the reports tab. I had it previously open. It's here. Very quickly, we choose the LCA results that we, the building that we want here. So I've got a couple of projects. One's clinic demo is the name of the building. It's not the name of the project. It's the name of the building. We can choose to take our bill of materials, bill of flows, and our LCA results. You can change the scope of things down here. If you only want a few impact assessments, that's fine. You can pick and choose which ones you want, et cetera, et cetera. You've done all that. You hit generate results. This takes the longest of all our, every time we tell you to wait, this will take the longest. It could be up to, depending on the size of the building, the size of the number of on, it's at least a minute, could be up to 2 minutes. So I'm not going to press the button now because I don't want to take the time. I've already done that. I've got these results here. But again, be patient with that. Okay, so here we have our results. We got, it'll come up, it'll look like that. You've got the result. Here's our general information. That's all that metadata, that administrative stuff. We got our bill of materials. So this is pretty, I think everyone can understand this. This is our list of all the things. So this is the entire list of materials from the building, from our bill of materials model. We've got the bill of flows. So the bill of flows is it's a bill of materials, but an expanded bill of materials. It shows you a lot more. So I'm going to just take an example here. So I'm just with this first one, air barriers. We've got 269 meters squared of air barriers. That's the number from the bill of materials. Sure, 269 meters squared there. I go back to the bill of flows. Now, if I go over here to the parent flow, and this is sorted by parent flow. Okay, I'm going to filter on, I'm going to use the word barrier. Oh no, sorry, I'm going to use air barrier. Air deterrent. So now it's showing me, so instead of however hundreds of items there was before, it's showing me 9 items. So this shows me the parent flow is all of the air barrier stuff. So this is all the flows that result from choosing 269 meters of meters squared of air barrier. So we've got that. Part of that is road transportation, 12 ton kilometers. It's not, the flow is road transportation, but the parent flow is air barriers because that's what air barriers, that's the effects of choosing the air barriers. We've got this air, again, another air barriers. This is it's in A5 over here. You see it's A5. That's construction losses. So that's the construction waste factor, air barriers. With the construction waste factor in construction waste factor in A5, we've got, again, it's there. We've got transportation. Where's the transportation to site? Oh, sorry, transportation to site here of that waste factor. I'm not sure what it is. It's 1% or 5%, something like that. So there's the transportation of that waste factor. There's the transportation of that waste to the to disposal. There's construction losses. So there's the part of the disposal of the stuff is to demolish the building at the end. So there are, oh, pardon me, that's down, no, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. Here we have disposal to sanitary landfill. So we've got transportation to landfill and we've got disposal in the landfill. Then we do not have anything at B. We don't have any replacements, so we don't have anything there. We have C1, C2, C4. Those are end of life. So we've got demolition of the building here. We've got road transportation and again, the landfill effects of putting in those masses of stuff. So that's what a bill of flows is. That's how bill of flows, balloons out from the bill of materials. We've got one air barrier in the bill of materials. We've got 9 different flows to calculate because of it, because of our scenario in the bill of flows. So the bill of flows does that for every parent flow, for every material. And then we end up with 21930 LCA results. And this for, we had 43 items in the bill of materials. We've got 17,000 items in this list down here. You'll see. Did I do sorry, I did this before. This is the results for the same results, but I limited it to just 5 environmental indicators. And we only have 3,000 lines here because I don't want all of those other things. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at it here. We've got, comes up here. It's automatically divided, or sorry, grouped. What we're calling grouping is by environmental indicator. And that's what these gray lines here. So this first one, GWP total, that's the first one we're talking about. The total of all the GWP totals is 895,000. And it's summed up for you here because we have grouped it up here in this bar. This is called the grouping bar. If I collapse this, you'll see these are the 5 indicators that I chose. That's why I only have 3,000 lines down here. I've only chosen these 5. Those are the totals. And that's sort of what you might be used to looking at. One row, GWP, GWP biogenic, fossil, etc. Total for each indicator. I'm going to expand this again. Again, that 895,000 is the total of all these different ones up to the next grouping, whatever number of rows that is. If you don't want, if you want to go by GWP, which you probably do, you want to at least be sorting by environmental indicator, because the total of all the numbers in all the columns of all the environmental indicators means nothing because they're all different things. But let's say you want the environmental indicator by different life cycle stages, information modules. I'm clicking on this information module header here, and I'm moving it up to this gray bar, the grouping bar. You'll see that little black arrow that shows there. That says, okay, I'm expecting something. I click on that. Takes a second, and now it's sorted things out by GWP, but also by A1 to 3 to C, whatever we have, C4 here. We got some D1s and D2s and D3s here. So that's just another way to sort things or to sum things up. And again, lots of people ask for this. What are the effects by life cycle stage? I could do the same by, I hit the green X here to get rid of that information module. I could do the same thing by parent flow. I'm going to grab parent flow over here and sort. So now I've got the GWP for each parent flow, i.e. each material. So I know that the GWP of my air barriers was 60 and my asphalt roof shingle was 61,000. If I'm looking for savings in my GWP, maybe 60 isn't the place to start. Maybe asphalt roof shingles is. So that's the way this works. If you're familiar with pivot tables in Excel, very similar to what it's trying to do here.
Hey,
And
Grant.
very shortly, when you've got this, when you got your results, you can export this single sheet to Excel, this 21, the LCA results, or you can export all of them to Excel, and that gives you 5 or 6 tabs with all the information in it. Just beware, however you sorted it or totaled it here or filtered it, like I only have 5 things, when you export to Excel, you're only going to have 5 indicators because you filtered it here. If you get rid of all your filters, all your sorts, or your groupings, that's what will be exported to Excel. And I've got an Excel version of that. I'll show you if we have time, but that's it. We got to get Going way
I
over
think
time.
what we should do is, if folks want to stay a little later and watch you in Excel, we can do that. But I want to just take these last few minutes to give people an opportunity to ask a question. If you want to ask one live by voice, we've had a pretty active chat going. But does anyone want to ask a question? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or actually raise your hand so I can call on you. Okay, so while we're waiting to see if anyone raises a hand, oh, sorry, I do have one from Elise. Go ahead, Elise, unmute yourself.
Hi, yeah, thank you. It's very useful when you are selecting materials and selecting the actual EPD that's behind to be able to see the EPD. Is that an option when you're creating the materials in the LCA?
Not really. Sort of. I'll go back.
You can hover over an item and you'll get a summary, but otherwise you can dig in deep in the library section and you can see every single detail from the EPD.
But so you cannot do that from the bill of material. You have to go in the libraries.
I thought when you hovered over, we got a pop-up here. We don't, Grant?
Well, it doesn't seem to be working at the moment.
Okay.
Don't know why.
That's definitely something that we're working on, being able to access the actual environmental data record from the bill of materials, just for ease of understanding and moving back and forth. So it's definitely on our radar.
And just so you know, you can see it. Like, again, the summary is supposed to be shown here. I don't know why it isn't. If I go to libraries, I go to the libraries tab. In the environmental data library, it has it there. And you can find it here. So again, we'll go with 25 MPA. Hit the search there. Oh, I have to hit choose product. And 25 MPA has a space in it, I think. There. So these are the flows. So I could have narrowed it down by region too. So let's go to BC. I click BC. There's 18 here instead of 19. I'm not sure why. Okay, so anyway, any one of these, you can open this up. That's it. There. Click on that. So this is the data of the EPD. You can't see the actual EPD, but it's in here. We've got a description here. So this is what I was expecting to pop up in the other table. So it applies to BC. It's 1 cubic meter, 25 MPA, blah, blah, blah. Here's the name of the EPD, concrete BC member, blah, blah, blah. ASTM EPD 348, date of issue, sort, et cetera, et cetera. It's got that's sort of the metadata behind it. Some other things have a further description of what the product is for. Everyone knows what concrete is for. But if you want to see the actual numbers, you can go down here to environmental impacts, open that box up, and this is it. So the A1 to 3 GWP total of that concrete is 230,595.
Yeah, no, understood. Yeah, it is useful for us to open the actual EPD just because sometimes you never know whether, you have to pick product A or product B, and opening the EPDs has, give you some product names, for example, and things like that.
Yes, and for instance, we'll have the product name here is in fact from the EPD. So it's basically
you can
with
Google
their
it.
F2G20, SCM20, et cetera, et cetera. That title there will be in the EPD itself.
Yeah. Cool, thank you.
Okay, we're up on time. We're happy to stay. Anyone who wants to stay and see a little more, we're happy to continue taking questions, but I recognize folks probably need to drop off. This video, as well as 5 short 10-minute videos broken into sections from what Grant showed, are on the web tool. Please avail yourself of those, and thank you in advance for any help you can give us in making suggestions on improvement. Okay, so for those who want to stay, Grant, did you want to show Excel? What if you had it like another 5 minutes?
There no more questions?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be, no.
Okay.
Oh.
So the other thing
I might have a quick question, and you might be going into it now with the Excel. But in the email you mentioned there would be a way to like if you're an early design and you don't have that much information to develop a detailed bill of materials, you could use the impact estimator to do that somehow. I was just wondering about that.
That is explained in which one of these videos, Jennifer?
It's
How to
not
create a
explained.
model?
It's really not explained, Grant. I'm going to answer that in like 30 seconds.
Okay.
If you don't already have a bill of materials, then you'll need to get one from somewhere. So perhaps you have a better option, but what we have made available to you, if you already say had a model in the impact estimator, or you could create one quickly using the impact estimator's assembly dialog approach. You can then do an export of a bill of materials that we have created for you that will make it really easy to import here. Does that answer it,
Okay.
Juan?
Yeah, I guess I'm interested then in that assembly dialogue approach. Like, is there a way to create a bill of materials kind of quickly?
Yes, and what you can do is go look at videos, go look for an impact estimator, look for videos over there of how to do that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Those assembly dialogues you put in for a floor, you put in the span and the width, and it figures out an area, and it figures out some reasonable calculations for you. That's as easy as it is, and again, that's a good way to do a very early bill of materials. Sorry, the thing that was explained in the video is Jennifer shows a picture of the BOM that comes out of the desktop tool, in which you would export into this tool.
Yeah, okay, we have a question from Hong Mei. Go ahead, Hong Mei. Nice to see you, by the way.
Thank you. And by the way, it's great to see Grant and Matt again. It's a long time no see. So it's great to see you here. Just quick question is, I see that at the end of your show, you're going to export everything to the Excel. Is this app going to have a plot or figures to show capability?
No. So I'll show you here. This sheet one is extra. So if I exported that whole project here, I would have got these tabs here. General information, project scope, building minute scope. There's my bill of materials.
Can I just, let me just stop for a second. Hong Mei, are you asking if the web app itself will have some nice graphing features, etc.?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, it's on the wish list. We have, but we have a couple of more pressing things to look at first.
Mm-hmm.
So so the answer right now is no.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Looking forward to.
If you want tables and graphs, export to Excel, and then you got to make them in Excel.
Mm.
Yeah, okay, so for those that want to stay, this is handy. What Grant's going to show you is how you can do that in Excel if you'd like to see. So we'll maybe take another 5 minutes to do that, Grant, and then we let people go.
Yeah, so I've got, this is the export that came out. I've got these things. Here's the bill of materials. Whatever, that's the 43 lines. Here's the bill of flows. That's the whatever the number is. I can't remember how many rows it was. That's the 9 rows of air barriers for per product. This sheet one I've added. Here's the 21,930 results. That's the 17,000 rows. Sorry, this also includes all of the indicators here. So gets to be a very big, long list of things. Again, if you're looking at very specific things, you want to filter out things, you want to go to different information module and just look at the replacement or something like that. That's how you do it. But to do what the summing up that I showed in the tool, in the app itself, one way to do that is with a pivot table, and I've created this pivot table. I'm going to actually delete it here. So I've got this 21,930 results. I want to select the whole table, including the headers. And I click on the bottom right corner. I've got the whole thing selected. I go up here to insert and pivot table. There's 1,000 different ways to use pivot tables. They're quite complicated. I'm not totally versed in all of them, but this is a very simple and easy way to do things. You click pivot table. I'm going to create it in a new worksheet. I click OK. That's what it created this sheet 2. It says there's a pivot table over here. You don't see anything. And it's got these fields. So these are the headers in that column. And so at the very first level, I want the total of my environmental indicators. So I click on environmental indicator. It has added this environmental indicator to this rows box down here. And you'll see here, it's creating tables as it goes. These are my environmental indicators. Again, last time, the one I showed you, I only picked 4 or 5, but this is picking all 32. Now, of those things, okay, GWP total, those are my headings. I want the quantity. So I just click on quantity here. And it knows that quantities are numbers. It has added quantity to this sum values box down here. And I click, so it's giving me here. And these are my quantities. I'm just going to quickly format these to make it a little bit easier to read. Put some 1,000 separators. There we go. So I got, those are that first grouping that I showed you in the app. It's the total of the GWP. That 895,000 was the same number in the tool. If I want the GWP total of that by information module, I'm going to click on information module, and this is smart enough. It adds it as a sub row over here. So I've got environmental indicator and information module down here on the right. I could have just dragged that into there, by the way. And so now I've got GWP of A1 to D3, the subtotals. So of course, all these numbers here should add up to the 895 number at the sum at the top. If I wanted to go again by well, if I did it by flow, it's going to really blow up that list, I think. So here's air barriers. So the different air barrier flows, but then you see I've got in the transport modules, I've got road transport, I've got a bunch of different things in here. Again, it gets plumbing. So maybe 2 or 3 levels is, or 1 or 2 levels is the only thing you want to sort by. But this is, for example, a good table to put in a report or make a graph of. You know, we've got whatever percentage due to operational energy use. We've got whatever percentage due to A1. If I didn't want to do information module, I could unclick information module and go with parent flow. And that's exactly what I did in the tool itself. And now we've got, okay, here's a percentage of the total, or here's the total for air barriers. And you can do a whatever table or a graph or something you want of that. And this is something that has long been wanted by many people in the desktop tool, was a by material breakdown as opposed to by life cycle stage. So again, pivot tables can be very simple, very, very good if they work simply for you. If for some reason, or the intricacies of pivot tables can be very complicated, but that's a very quick and easy way to get whatever results you want. Again, from this exported table with all the things in it that we didn't that we exported from the thing. We don't touch this with the pivot table. It just reads this table and sums things up for you. You can do these. You can do all these sums and sort of things by formulas too. You can, if it's equal to GWP, give me the total of this and everything else. That, again, complicated, but if you're adept at Excel, not that complicated, but complicated to show at the moment.
If I could add, I think that, the graphs and that kind of thing may be further down the road, but we've definitely discussed being able to do this kind of manipulation within the tool itself rather than in pivot tables, and that should be fairly easy to do. So that's a little higher up on the priority list.
Yeah, the sort of the manipulation that I demonstrated in the tool is doing exactly the same thing as here. It's doing sums by whatever groupings in that groupings bar that I showed you. I mean, the philosophy or whatever, the math is the same. It's doing the things, but you want it to be easy too. And if you did a grouping in the app tool, we want to be able to produce a graph, a pie chart or something like that from it. And that's the stuff that's to come.
Alrighty. Thanks, Grant. I think we can let everybody go. It's Friday afternoon for some folks. Thank you. Thanks very much for joining our webinar, and thank you in advance also for being beta testers. So I'm going to stop recording and I'll let people get started on their weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.